Hey King, EmuParadise shut down. King. So EmuParadise shut down. I'm aware I'm a little late, but, why am I making this video though? Well, mainly because EmuParadise was the only place I went to for ROM so I could capture footage for DS games. Yes, the truth finally comes out, even though it wasn't really that much of a mystery. I used ROM so I could record footage for the games I was playing. It's actually why I displayed the game in my videos, so I could show that I sure did actually own the game! I would play some of the game on my DS, decide if it was video worthy, while also taking note of controls, sound, and graphics so I could comment on them if need be, and then find a ROM of the game and play through the rest of it on my computer so I could capture gameplay. EmuParadise was my place to go since it had everything. Every game I could think of, this precious site had at least 3 different ROMs for it. It was great! It made making videos so much easier. And I'm sure some of you are going to ask, well, why did you choose DS games to begin with then if you needed to rely on ROMs? Well, A, because I'm dumb, and 2, because I really like the DS and want to remember this weird piece of technology. I could go on and on about how this affects me personally, but I'll save that for the end of the video. For now, though, Nintendo already cracks down enough on preserving their IPs, but constantly going after sites that are essential on recording video game history is ridiculous. And I know it's a bunch of nonsense saying, oh, ROM sites are preserving history. Like, I know that's not their main intent when uploading games to these sites, but it is an incredibly unique and important upside. And I shouldn't exactly say it's just Nintendo doing this, but Nintendo is the biggest culprit in ROM sites shutting down, so excuse me if I decide to group every developer and company together as just Nintendo. Also, Nintendo is just fun to say. So let's just say I want to play Harvest Moon for the SNES. Everyone says it's great. It's the beginning of a fantastic series, a must play, especially just to see how the series has grown. Well, there's no way I'm buying an original. Even if I skip getting it in box, which can cost up to $1,000, I'm still going to have to pay more than $200 at the time of recording. Well, that's no good. I don't have $200, but maybe there's a re-release that I can scoop up that's cheaper? Oh, here we go, on the Wii U for $8. Except, I don't own a Wii U, and those still cost $200+ to purchase used. But let's just say, for the sake of arguing, that everyone everywhere has every console to ever exist. Well, now I can purchase Harvest Moon for the SNES and play it legally on my Wii U. Great! Another Holy Grail SNES game, Earthbound, is on both the Wii U and the new 3DSs, along with it coming on the SNES Classic. Awesome! Well, what about Evo? What's an Evo? If you still don't see my point, Evo is the final game in the Holy Grail SNES trilogy, but unlike Harvest Moon and Earthbound, it didn't really get that cult following that was necessary to keep it in the spotlight. Because of that, it didn't really get that same re-release on eShops treatment that the other two got. Unless Nintendo is willing and even capable of putting every single last retro title onto an eShop that we can purchase from, it's utterly ridiculous for us to just accept that there's nothing we can do without shelling out hundreds of dollars to someone with an original copy, which doesn't even give Nintendo any sales to begin with. Which brings me to my next point. Nintendo, or any other video game company, is not making any money off of these old titles, no matter what. Whether we go on eBay to find a true copy or download it off of a ROM site, these companies are making exactly the same amount. $0. There are thousands upon thousands of retro titles that are no longer on the market, nor have they been for 5+ years. Nintendo has stopped making a profit off of them. On the Nintendo 3DS eShop, according to Wikipedia, there are only 191 retro titles that everyone is capable of purchasing. On the Wii U, there are 311 titles according to Wikipedia. If I don't remove any of the duplicate games from both eShops, you get 502 titles, spanning the NES, SNES, Game Boy, GBA, Nintendo DS, the 64, GameCube, the Sega Game Gear, and the TurboGrafx for some reason. 502 titles for all of those consoles seems like a lot until you remember that the North American SNES had 721 titles in it alone. Including every single last official release, even from other regions, that amount goes up to 1,757 for one console. 714 for the NES, 1757 for the SNES, 1049 for the Game Boy, 1510 for the GBA, 1837 for the DS, 389 on the 64, 658 for GameCube, 363 for Game Gear, and 138 for the TurboGrafx. 8,415 titles, and you want to argue that 502 being officially re-released is okay to let 7,913 of them fall away into expensive eBay sales? To put into perspective how absolutely, ridiculously, incredibly tiny 502 games is, this is my DS collection. This is 415 games. This is the remaining 87 games you need to make 502. Seems like a lot, but now imagine having all of these thrown away. You cannot play any of these, ever, unless you shell out a bunch of money to a random stranger that can't even guarantee it will work. This number is just a sample size. I didn't include PS1, I didn't include Sega Genesis, Dreamcast, Atari, Neo Geo, Saturn, Commodore, Amiga, PS2, Xbox, and a whole lot more lesser-known consoles. That 7,913 would rise well past the 10,000 mark. It would rise past even the largest known game collection at 11,000 games. Imagine it! 11,000 games that only the lucky few can ever play again. That some might never play again. Games lost forever because the ability to play them has become expensive and inaccessible. Consoles only have so long of a life. A majority of people have had a console die on them, or you've heard of it happening. Consoles do not last forever. They weren't built to. All technology has an expiration date, and when these consoles eventually go, when they become rarer and harder to find due to aging, how will we play these games? The Wii was one of the most successful gaming consoles of all time. Everyone has one, if not more, in their household. It was so successful. They're also pretty cheap to come by. It, however, shows exactly what will happen to all of these other eShops. They will shut down. On March 26, 2018, the Wii eShop stopped allowing people to purchase Wii Points, the only way to buy retro games on the console. On January 30th, 2019, it will be the last day you can ever re-download these titles. All 397 Virtual Console titles that were on the Wii, if not moved over to newer consoles, will no longer be accessible without purchasing the original cartridge it came on. This doesn't even brush on the fact that unreleased titles from other regions would not be playable at all without the work of volunteers putting out English patches. Translators taking time out of their day, free of charge, to preserve video games and let a wider range of people enjoy them. There needs to be a place to record all of the games, not just by title, but by the game data itself. Imagine, if you will, a library. Thousands of books at your disposal, except you can't read them. You can't even touch them without the librarian slapping you on the wrist. All you can do is see the title of the book, see the cover of it, and maybe even the back and read the synopsis if you're lucky. Maybe you had this book when you were younger but can't find it in stores anymore, so you thought that the library would be the best place to look. But you can't read them. You can't even experience the story that this book offers. All you have is memories or stories from other people. You will never get the chance to experience this book because you didn't know about it when it first came out, or you somehow lost it. Imagine how messed up that would be. Imagine the outrage from the public. So now try and understand why people are upset that ROM sites are shutting down left and right. I'm not going to sit here and lie to you saying that this is the main reason people are upset. I'm sure most people are just upset that they can't play free games anymore, but there are more who would love to pay for a legit working copy of whatever weird, obscure title they want without having to pay shipping fees and rolling the dice on sketchy eBay sellers. There absolutely has to be a statute of limitations on ROMs. Don't get me wrong, I don't think that newer consoles need all of their games dumped to ROM sites, and older games that you can still purchase on the PC either through Steam or some other PC site also don't need to be dumped. Companies are still profiting off of it, I get it. Gamers shouldn't have everything handed to them for free. That would be insane and incredibly selfish to think. We aren't entitled to video games no more than people are entitled to books or movies. But unlike books or movies, we don't have a secure way to play whatever it is we're interested in at the time. We don't have a reliable way to find legit copies of whatever old retro game a friend suggests we play. EmuParadise was our Netflix, albeit a little more free. If Nintendo wants to create their own emulator that I can stream whatever game I want from their thousands of old titles, then I would be more than happy to pay a $10 monthly fee to go with my other $10 monthly fees. Or if they want to take a Kindle route, I would be thrilled to pay $7 for an old game so I can play it on my computer. But they won't do that. That costs time, money, and effort through thousands of titles that would probably never be purchased to begin with unless you're a weirdo with a YouTube channel. I don't have hopes that this is ever going to change. I'd eat my hat if Nintendo came out with a fully finished library of their entire catalog going back to the beginning. I'd eat all of my hats if they then also included translations for games never translated into other languages. Nintendo do what Nintendo want. They'll start a war with every single ROM site and people will get angry at them and start saying to boycott Nintendo, but then they'll come out with a stupid Waluigi game or something and everyone will forget that they're essentially erasing history because memes. So coming back to what it means for me personally, other than that entire essay I just wrote, it means that I either have to shell out $500 for a capture card that only one person in the world seems to still make, or give up on making videos about DS games. And I don't have $500 to spend on what is essentially a hobby. Showing people the weirder, sometimes awful side of the Nintendo DS has to be put on hold because I can't afford to. I loved making videos about the DS because it was an adorable little handheld that a lot of people love, but not many really talk about still. But without emulators, I can't do that without the quality of my videos going way down, which I just refuse to do. This doesn't just affect me though. People just like me wanting to create videos, wanting to talk about their favorite games who can't go out and just buy a $200 Elgato, now have to if they want to do more than just PC games. The market for video game type videos was already pretty cutthroat, and now poorer people don't even stand a chance. All in all, this sucks. EmuParadise, you will be missed.